What is happening, fellow fantasy teams? I'm JJ Wang. He's the bearded one, DJ Dub. With our powers combined, we are the
Oh, JJ Wang. By the time people hear this, we're officially in the off season. We are recording because we want to watch the Super Bowl. Usually we record Sundays, but the whole day is pretty much a wash with Super Bowl. And I know you said your daughter has about a bajillion games on Super Bowl Sunday. So
Yeah, at least their games are early and they'll all be over. But
yeah, but we wanted to get something out to you guys, but we didn't want to miss the Super Bowl. So next week we'll talk more about the Super Bowl. Next week we switched up a little bit. We're gonna talk about the Super Bowl, and then we're gonna do the first mock draft of the off season. So we'll have that all together for you. You can hit us up on Twitter at Couriers Fantasy, email, Facebook, Instagram, the Fantasy Couriers. Pop us a YouTube comment or check out our website, thefantasycouriers.wixsite.com/website. All of that is below. We are about ready in about a couple weeks to hit our 1,000th podcast listen. That's pretty amazing. A goal we never thought we'd reach. I mean, we're at episode 53, 52, it looks like, and almost 1,000 listens. It's pretty rocking. Who would have thought that?
no, not me. I mean, not. But yeah, it's good stuff.
So you're hearing us everywhere. If you're listening to us on Facebook, you can check out any podcast providers. We are pretty much everywhere now, and I get emails every now and then of places that say, "Hey, claim your podcast." So if you name a podcast site, we are probably there, and you can jump in with Courier Nation and be experts like us. Because who knows? By the time you're hearing this, I could be the expert Super Bowl predictor from August. Ooh.
I mean, maybe.
But anyway, jumping into, we only got two tidbits of news. I mean, I am the question that I have got the most this week. It'll be an episode later on. Is what do you think of the new Dolphins coach? And I say, I don't know. I've learned not to get excited anymore. He looks. I'm excited for.
I mean, he's coming. I mean, he's coming from the Shanahan tree. I mean, they're all successful. I mean,
Yeah, so it's
the
it's new
offense that
blood.
they run.
You know, that first date always goes so well. Usually, it either goes well or terrible. And so far, the first date has been wonderful. So there'll be a second date, and we'll see what happens.
Yes, I mean, it's like I heard some. I'm not sure what somebody said, but he's leaving San Francisco, going to Miami, and they pretty much got the exact same quarterback situation. I mean,
Trey
Garoppolo,
Lance and Tua, same person.
yeah, Garoppolo and Tua pretty much the same. Well, they said Tua was a left-handed Garoppolo, so I mean, say what you want there.
Hey, if that means that Tua goes to a Super Bowl,
Yeah,
I'll take it. Garoppolo, what
they're
can I
gonna.
say?
They don't need a quarterback that can sling it. They just need a running back that can tote the rock. So I mean, they're going to run a lot, man.
Drop off quarterbacks all we need. So that'll be. I still think March. That's gonna be one of our predictions. I got to pick which running back are they going to pay too much for. But anyway, the big news, not related to my fandom. Alvin Kamara or Kamara, he likes us. He doesn't care what you call him, but we might be calling him
Suspended.
cut, suspended. What? Knucklehead got in a fight. What do you think if you were looking into a crystal ball, what does the future hold for Alvin Kamara?
I'm not. Have they released the video yet?
Apparently it's bad though. Like it shows.
Yeah, I heard it.
Does it? It's not a.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it was bad, but I don't really want to. If I'd like to watch the video before I really say what happens. But I mean, if he just comes out and straight punches the guy, I mean, I guess he's got to get suspended somehow. Probably. I mean, he's older. Saints are trying to probably rebuild at this point. Maybe trade him, maybe cut him somehow. Get what you can. Who knows? That's what happens when you go to Vegas, man.
Yeah. That's how all this. Put a team in Vegas. Have some stuff in Vegas. I mean, but yeah, they're saying that the bonus part is luckily he punched a dude. So that as terrible as that is, he got in a fight. Like it's apparently it's on camera. I mean, we're guys. We know like guys get in fights, but once you're in the spotlight, you can't be a moron. But it could give the Saints the out they need for an older running back on a high contract. It depends if they go full rebuild or if they're like, hey, we're gonna try to run it up one more time. If they're going full rebuild, someone's gonna get Kamara for pennies on the dollar to be a scat back for what do you think? He'll miss 4 games probably. Maybe two. You know,
4 games, and then it'll probably get an appeal down to maybe 2. I mean,
you think? I don't know. I think the appeal process is just for show. Those guys, but yeah, he might play the first 2, then miss 4 or something ridiculous. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if what the Saint, I think it comes down to what the Saints are doing. And I mean, he just got drunk and punched somebody, so I gather. Is that pretty much?
I was what I heard was what happened on an elevator. Some guy tried to get on an elevator, and Kamara was like, "Stop! You're not getting on my elevator." And then maybe something escalated, and that's a story that I heard. I don't know if that's right, but I mean, if I was, I'd probably try to hurry up, try to get on the elevator. But hey, Kamara's getting on the elevator. I'm gonna run over there and try to go up there with him, right? Maybe
Yeah.
get a picture. And then Kamara was like, "Nah, bro. There's already 5 dudes on here. You know, him and his posse. We don't need another one." And then the guy was probably like, "Come on, man!" And then bam, and then he was out.
I'm sure Kamara was worried about COVID, so we'll just blame it on COVID because he
Yeah,
was worried about like all the players are worried. Anyway, moving on to another one that's interesting. I just want your thoughts on this. Kyler Murray wiped everything Arizona Cardinals off his Twitter, and apparently for younger people, if you clear your Twitter, that means something to us. If we clear our Twitter, it means we pushed the wrong button. So, what do you make of that?
Who knows? I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. I don't really pay
Well,
any
you sort of
attention
are
to it. Well, I am,
by accident.
but I don't. I don't know. He probably got somebody probably said something that hurt his feelings, and I guess this is what they do. And then in a couple of weeks they'll be back to being happy. I guess. Who knows? I don't know.
You think Kyler's a Cardinal next year?
Oh yeah, definitely Kyler.
I've seen people say baseball. I'm like, nah. I mean, he would make. Depends on his next. They say it's contract, kind of like Lamar. They say might, since he's represented himself, which sometimes doesn't end well for players. He's stuck at that $40 million mark, and he's not budget.
Darn.
Yeah, so I wonder if Kyler's looking at that, going, "Dude, I'm a better quarterback than Lamar."
I don't
Lamar's
know. To be honest,
You think they're
I don't
comparable?
know. I mean, people. If Lamar, I don't want to say Lamar's done more than Kyler, but
Yes.
I mean, Lamar has an MVP. What has Kyler done? Played it, played 2 really good first half of the seasons, and then stunk it up the second halves,
Point.
right?
Point. Yeah.
So I mean, so if I was going to start with a quarterback, or a team with either one of those quarterbacks, I think I'm taking Lamar Jackson. Probably. I think he's just
Wow.
better mentally, better physically, and I mean, yeah, he got hurt this year, but Kyler seems to be hurt every year. He
Hey,
gets
smaller.
hurt in the middle of the year, and then the second half of the season is shot. And evidently, he gets his feelings hurt pretty easy. So
He's kind of soft. Yeah,
yeah,
you
he's
just
kind
thought
of
because
soft.
we're gonna do a this or that episode later on, and either this month or start of next month, and that's good. I was thinking Kyler or Lamar, but I think we both agree. Like I would take Lamar. I think there's more. I think
Maybe more.
experience too. Like at this point, if you're starting, like maybe in a couple years it might change when because Lamar's shelf life, I don't know. Kind of it depends upon how both those players adapt as the legs start to wear down. Will be the interest. Like you see, Russ he was running more when he was younger, but he became a better passer as he got older. So quite
I
intriguing.
mean, like, I'm just looking at it for the next 2 or 3 years, and
And here it comes.
I think Lamar Jackson's a tougher guy. I mean, he seems to be a tougher player, and
Yeah.
I'd rather have that.
Okay, so this week is the week of our favorite holiday, Valentine's Day. I got your roses; they're in the mail. But we decided to do a Valentine's Day special, just players we love, sometimes for no reason at all. Like a couple of my players are, well, one of them is not that good. Another one came up at the end of the year, but just players that we like for no reason at all. We'll talk about them briefly, maybe say why we like them. Look at the hope usually it's because we hope they're going to be good. Sometimes I mean, we didn't really pick any, like one of my flex guy who could have been another position I put there because I've just liked him and then he became good, then he became bad. So players we love for no reason at all. Everybody knows who the quarterback I love for no reason at all is. And it's just super fandom. I
Well, we
know,
know
I
why. I
know.
mean, we know the reason behind it.
Yeah, it's Tua, and I hold out heart because I do a lot of guys that I end up loving in the league. It's more because of their personality than their play, and then I get suckered in, and my teams are terrible because I support those guys. So Tua is a good dude, and I think that's more the reason I like him. And I hate Alabama, loathe, despise, can't stand the college Alabama. So I never rooted for the dude. I didn't even want us to draft him. But I had to convince myself draft Tua. He was very successful at Alabama. Alabama puts out good NFL players. It's a pro system. He's coming in, and then he fell into the Miami mess, which apparently Miami is just a terrible, terrible organization. And I'm just gonna pray that McDaniel makes Tua consistent. He doesn't like if Tua was Garoppolo, I would take it. If we could get the Tua from the Giants game, he was 13 of 41 for 244 and 2 touchdowns. I'd take that.
13. Well, say
Oh, sorry,
13.
30 of 41. Apologies, 30 of 41. Or let's go to the one of the Jets games. It was the first one. The first Jets game, 27 of 33, 273, 2 touches. He had an interception, but he's he's consistent. I mean, this year he did have a very high. What is his total? His completion percentage for the year went down. It was really high at one point. It ended up being 67.8, but it was a lot higher earlier in the year, and then tailed off after the Tennessee debacle, which just clobbered it. Tennessee and the second Jets game just clobbered his really high completion percentage. But if he's going to be in the 49ers system, it's going to be a lot of safe passes, a lot of stuff to the tight end, and it's going to be a running game, and he's going to have to game manage, which I think he can handle that. And maybe that'll help him in some of the growth areas that he didn't get because his coach for the last 2 years was just mad. So,
I mean,
do you have any hope in him?
So from what I gather, I mean, it's probably hard for a quarterback when your owner, GM wants you and your coach does. I'm not really sure which way it was. However,
GM wanted him, the coach.
So for the last 2 years, when one side wanted you and the other one didn't, you know, hey, let's trade for him for this guy. Let's bring in Fitzpatrick. I mean, it's probably kind of tough. So if you bring in a coach that has a system and that seems to be able to work on any quarterback, because it's not based around actual being like a high-flying quarterback. I think Tua can work. I mean, he's got Waddle, so he's got that short passing target guy. He's got a decent tight end, and all they got to need now is fix the running game, get their offensive line straight, and that's what they'll do. They'll be a running team just like San Francisco. So
I think McDaniel said if I had a fantasy team, he would start Waddle. It was McDaniel says he would start Jalen Waddle in fantasy football next season, meaning he's got some plans for that boy because
I mean
that man already had 100 and some odd yards.
Who wouldn't start Jalen Waddle next year in fantasy leagues? I mean
yeah. Put him higher, he's gotten up the road.
Yeah, so going over, I will switch over to my quarterback. This is a guy that I don't know. I heard stories when he was in college. He went to Stanford. You know, he's a 5-star coming out of high school. Just injured, couldn't stay on the field. That's Davis Mills. So he was a 3rd-round pick for the Texans. So he was the first player they took in that draft. So that means they thought something of him. So of course, Deshaun Watson leaves. They have Tyrod. Tyrod gets hurt. Davis Mills comes in, plays okay. Tyrod comes back. Davis Mills comes back in. And then those last 5 games, I think Davis Mills played really well, right? As far as fantasy goes, he had a 33-point fantasy game, a 22-point fantasy game, and another 20-pointer and a 17-pointer. I mean, that's really all you want for a rookie quarterback. And he only had one really bad game. He had that Buffalo game where he had 4 interceptions. That was pretty dreadful. We won't speak about that one. But I think overall, Davis Mills earned his right to at least compete for the starting job. They might bring in a veteran for him to compete with. Might even keep Tyrod. Who knows? I mean, why not? They got experience, but Tyrod didn't play very well when he was in there. So I don't know why you would really bring him back. But yeah, my guy's Davis Mills. I think he'll be the starter for the Texans for quite a while. I'm all in on this guy.
I can't say I disagree. Hey, brother, who's listening? It's amazing. Like I look at it, I'm seeing my brother. It drives me bonkers. But I after the beginning of the year, I was like, man, because I drafted him in a couple of leagues super late, and then I needed to cut him because of space. I was like, dude, he's used to. He's not gonna be. And all of a sudden, I was like, wow, he's playing. Crud, someone already grabbed him. But yeah, that last quarter of the season, pretty much from the Seattle game 1. I mean, the Seattle game, they got pummeled 13-33, but he still threw for 331 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. I mean, you can't. What else can you ask of a rookie?
And the team's not good.
This team
is bad.
He has one receiver. Who's about your size, about your build.
Yeah,
and
they've got no running game. Like I said, I think they got a nice young tight end in Brevin Jordan. He seemed to be playing well at the end of the year.
He's
I like
big.
Nico Collins. Nico Collins seems to be playing
Yeah.
decent.
Oh
They
yeah,
had
good
a
call. I forgot about him.
spot there. So I mean, a move here. You got get the running game. They got a new coach, bring in maybe a running back, fix the offensive and defensive lines. I mean, of course they got a long ways to go, but I think Davis Mills is solid enough. But switching over to running back, go ahead and do yours, and then I'll mention mine. But it's not really not too much
You
of
didn't
a
really
deal.
have one, but I was like, you got to say him. That way you can be contrarian to my pick. This was a guy in the rookie draft last year. I loved. I was all about him. I was like, I'm gonna draft him, and he was falling. It was to the point that when I was doing drafts, I was like, okay, this is when he's drafting. Well, then my next two guys actually are like that. This is when Adam's gonna draft Randray Stevenson. So he's coming into New England, which is a running team, and the rule is don't draft New England running backs. I was like, well, they don't really have a quarterback. They have this Mac Jones kid who I think is going to be crap. Oops, I was wrong about that. He was a decent game manager, another poor man's Jimmy Garoppolo kind of thing, and could be better. We'll see what happens because he was young. But Stevenson got in there, then he got into the
So
doghouse. I was
hold
like, oh,
on, he's a poor man's Jimmy Garoppolo. Isn't Jimmy Garoppolo already poor? I
so
mean, isn't
yeah,
Jimmy
that means he's
Garoppolo the
homeless, I
poor
guess.
man's somebody else? I mean, do
Yeah,
you,
Mac
if you're
Jones
the
can
poor,
surpass Jimmy Garoppolo,
if you're the
but
poor man, if you're the poor man's Jimmy Garoppolo, you should just retire. I mean,
not if they're paying you what he's going to get paid. So I think he's
yeah.
going to be consistent for a while. But Stevenson, somehow or another, I've never seen this happen so quickly. Got out of Belichick's doghouse. Like Belichick did not like this guy. There was stuff coming out. He was riding him. The coaches didn't like him. They didn't like his work ethics. I was like, oh gosh, I liked a guy. I was rooting for a guy that's crud. He's coming out of Oklahoma, another decent running back college team. So he played in a pro system. Decent. What was his name? The coach. He just went to. I lost it.
Lincoln
Lincoln.
Riley.
Lincoln Riley was coaching. So usually a passing was still was fairly decent for them. So I was like, cool, he's going in. He should be a decent if I can snag him in the third, fourth round of a rookie draft or for peanuts, and had him in a bunch of places. And when he played, he got he has a 20 for 102 touchdown week. And then your boy, Damien Harris,
Damien Harris.
spoiler alert, was in there. So we were talking before, them together, he still had some decent weeks. He's probably right now setting next year at a fairly solid fairly cheap flex player that you
How
could
many
have.
carries did he have?
Total carries for the year. Let's see, rushing, he had 133 carries.
So Harris had 202 carries. So Harris had 202 carries.
So
I pretty much see it being exactly the same thing next year as they do it. So, I mean, like I said, that's the only. I was going to say Harris, but there's a reason why you like Harris. I mean, he's a goal line back for a running team. When Harris plays, or I mean, he's going to start and he's going to get the majority of the carries. His first, second down and goal line, which is what you want. But yeah, it's just a tough. I mean, they just can't be. I don't think Harris can be any more than that mid range running back two, and then Stevenson as that flex. I mean, it's tough for these guys.
Well, Harris, it always seems like there's a if he's playing really good or there's something that just seems a little off. So it's just I mean Tampa shut him down, but otherwise
Well, Tampa shut a lot of people down.
Tampa shut up. But Harris Carolina slowed him down on 15. So it's but
Well,
it
I mean,
happens to everybody.
he's not Derrick Henry over here. He's going to have bad games.
Yeah,
But that's why he's not your RB1.
yeah.
But I mean, as that RB2, I mean, if 75% or 60%, 65% of your games are good or above average, I mean, that's what you're shooting for, man.
So Harris 4.6 per carry. And then Ramondre, I just changed my screen. So Ramondre they both literally had 4.6
Yeah.
per carry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good. I mean,
That's consistent.
it's a
So that
running
means you can
offense.
it's a plug and play offense, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, and then if one of them's injured, you can start that guy with RB1 upside. So I
Yep.
mean,
So if you draft one, you got to find a way to sneak in the others, and then cry a little bit when you play Stevenson over him.
yeah, I mean,
Hey, I'll let you. My Ramondre love is known by many people. I had a buddy Rick who was on our show this summer. He's like, yeah, he drafted him because he knew I liked him in one of our leagues, and I was out draft picks. He's like, I'm taking your boy. I was like, yeah, dog, good job. Because his running backs were terrible, so at least it gave him RB3 or 4 to put in there. So talk about your boy. I don't know what to think. I liked him, then I didn't like him. I'm up and down with him.
Yeah, so we're going with wide receiver right here, right?
Yeah, wide receiver. Yeah.
Okay. So my guys pretty much had the exact same year the last 2 seasons. I think he had 800 yards this year, 5 touchdowns, and it was like 730 last year. And that's
40.
Brandon Ayuk. He had the big second half of his rookie season, like when everybody was hurt, he exploded. He was getting 20-point fantasy games, and I kind of bought into that a little bit. And then coming into this season, I was drafting him and trading for him, and then it seemed like when the season started, I guess he was in the doghouse and couldn't get on the field. He couldn't get targets. He was playing behind some people that I don't even think, or maybe not even being in the NFL anymore. Who knows? But
Taylor.
there towards the end of the season, he started picking up and he's starting to get 5 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. Not great games, but you've seen flashes. I mean, it's only his second year. He's only 23 years old, so I mean, he's got a long ways to go. And then Trey Lance comes in, maybe open up the field a little bit. I mean, if he could get to 1,000 yards and then 7 or 8 touchdowns, I mean, that's all I'm really expecting out of the guy. So I mean, if you could extrapolate that into the season, the whole way, if he could just stay out of the doghouse, and just maintain those 5 to 6 targets a game, I think you'd be a solid wide receiver 3. I mean, I'm not going to get too excited on it yet, but I like the game.
Yeah, I think there's a big X factor that we'll find out. Does Trey Lance trust Ayuk, or is Trey Lance going to go, that Debo kid is really good? I guess Debo would be a senior. That Debo grandpa is really good towards Trey Lance's age. That George Kittle, old man by this point, is really good, but he breaks. Do I like the young receiver? I mean, he'll be 24 when the season starts, and that's going to be the question mark. Is he going to tuck the ball too much? So really, I think it's Trey Lance is going to pick somebody, and we both think Trey Lance is going to be a good player. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Debo? Is Debo going to run more so that he gets more catches? It'll be interesting to see. Or are they going to do something very Cowboy-like and draft another receiver so they got 3 good receivers? But
they're kind of the opposite. They'll draft another
running back or 3. They'll draft like 3 running backs.
7 draft picks, all running.
Yeah. But the good thing I did notice on him is he did go up 2.3 yards per reception this year. So that's a positive note, but it might also mean he's going to be their field stretcher, which makes him almost a wide receiver 3, because it's going to be that Deshaun Jackson effect where you might have those 150-yard games or those 23-yard games.
We all know Jimmy Garoppolo ain't stretching the field. We just know that's not happening. And Trey Lance,
like Mac Jones.
Yeah, Trey Lance, like as soon as he breaks the pocket, I mean, we're running deep. So I mean, that opportunity is going to be there way, way more with Lance on the field than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I mean, like I said, that's why I'm just hoping for. I'm on the. I'm a big fan of Lance. So Lance, Ayuk. God, I hope. I mean, I'm just praying.
Yeah, my receiver. Everybody knows my love for him, and it didn't look good. I think I actually liked him more than Rhamondre coming in, because I'd listened to a couple of people talking about rookie receivers and just talking about the skills of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, most people were scared because Equanimous was pretty terrible as a player. I mean, he still has a job, so he's a stellar football player, but as an NFL player, he's not that great. He had 2-3 good games, but Amon-Ra came in and we're like, he's going to the Lions. Okay, cool. I can get him on the cheap. So I got a bunch of him. And then, wow, what a terrible start for someone you thought would be good. Then he started to pick it up a little bit at the Bears. And those last from week 13 on, if you had, Amon-Ra St. Brown almost won me some leagues I shouldn't have been good in. He came on, he had his double digits targets from week 13 on, 12, 12, 11, 11, 11, 10. If Goff continues that next year.
Yeah, I mean,
wide receiver 2, easy.
I mean, it's possible, but what? Yeah, I guess that's where you're drafting him. I don't think he's going to be as good as his 5-game stretch at the end of the season. I don't think he's going to be that good of a receiver. He was he was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think as far as he'll be the wide receiver one for that team, I mean, you're only going to go so far with
Slot
Jared
receiver.
Goff. I mean, they literally had all their options were gone. It's that second half of the season was kind of reminiscent of what Brandon Ayuk's second half of the season when everybody was injured. I mean, they didn't have their tight end was injured. Their, all their receivers were injured. Their number one running back was injured, who's also the receiving back. So, I mean, they got to go somewhere. And then I guess everything was just funneled to that guy. So hopefully he doesn't get in the doghouse like Ayuk did and he come out and, stay on the good side of the team and try to maintain.
Terrible. If Hawkinson plays good, he's in trouble. But but he'll have more value probably in the PPR because I think he's going to end up being there. He could, for the sake of a term, be a different player, but he could be their Debo.
Yeah, after they bring in Malik Willis, and once they draft Malik Willis, right? Might have to sit. You have to sit a little bit. Might end up sitting the whole season, but get that after that.
That's who I'm rooting for this year.
That live arm, got that live arm out there, chucking it all over the place. Hey, here we go, man.
I want some Malik Willis. I don't think I'm gonna get Malik Willis anywhere. There's no way. But anyway, we got two more guys. We're gonna go through them pretty quickly because we know that you are you're a tight end. You just don't understand the love of the tight end as they go. So I'll let you do your tight end first because he's pretty bad. And I'll do my tight end who's
they're just not good. There's only like 3 good ones, 4 good ones, and it's just not. They're just not fun to talk about. You end up talking about the same guys. So I'm gonna stick with this with the guy that I had coming in the year. That's Adam Troutman. I got really no reason to like the guy. Started out terrible, but I will say, there towards the middle of the season, he did start picking it up a little bit. Right, he started 6, 7, 6, and then 8 targets. So a 4-game stretch of 6+ targets. I mean, that's pretty solid for a tight end. If he just get in the end zone. That team doesn't have a lot of options. He does drop more than I thought he would. That's way more drops. I'm not sure. I might have be over exaggerating, but I seem to think he drops quite a bit for some reason. So he got hurt after that 4-game stretch, and then that was pretty much his season. But yeah, I really don't have a reason to continue liking the guy. But I'm going to stay on him. He's a big dude, 6'5", 250, athletic, get down the field. Hey man, I'm still throwing darts on tight ends here.
Yeah, he just turned 25. So my boy is Gerald Everett. I liked the move to Seattle. I think next year he had a decent year this year. Nothing out of the Gerald Everett ordinary. 400 and some odd. It was his best year ever, but he had 478 yards and 4 touchdowns. But I think once tight end's hard anyway, but now he knows how to play it. He's got if Russ is there, he's got a decent quarterback and he's a big body there. So it depends upon will they let him go out more that they know what they got. And he had a couple decent games. And on tight end side, I have a buddy who they took their defense and kicker out of their league and they did double tight end league. I was like, man, I wish I hadn't left that league years ago. I'd be in heaven. That would have been great.
Why does anybody want to do that? I mean, you're not
starting. People do IDP. I don't get IDP though. So
yeah, I don't like IDP either. I'm in a couple IDP leagues. Not a fan at all. I like the league as a whole, but it's such a crapshoot, man. You just have no idea.
Yeah, so those were players we love sometimes for no reason at all, as you heard us literally say a couple times. And so happy Valentine's Day to everybody. JJ Wang, give us some wisdom to get us out of here.
Words of wisdom. Make sure you treat your loved ones great. That's about all I've got.
Sounds magnificent.
Yeah, make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them and how much you appreciate them. It's about as far as it goes here. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.